We're set, and action, Russell.
It's the film audiences and critics alike hail as the best film of the year.
Who among you will be the next Morse, the next Einstein?
Winner of the Golden Globe Award for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Screenplay, and now nominated for 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Supporting Actress. A Beautiful Mind is the unforgettable story of courage, love, and triumph.
I've made the most important discovery of my career. The most important discovery of my life.
In the next half hour,
background action.
Meet the real John Nash and see how his astonishing story inspired filmmakers to create this extraordinary human drama.
Find a truly original idea. That's the only way I'll ever distinguish myself. It's the only way that I'll ever.
Massive.
I fell in love with it for the central character. It's an extraordinarily painful journey, and it's unlike a lot of the other films that I've directed. Maybe all the other films that I've directed.
Making this film was an impassioned labor of love for director Ron Howard and producer Brian Grazer.
This is not a clinical case study, but I knew what we should go for, and I couldn't say no to that challenge. I just began to believe in it too much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great John Nash.
Based in part on the acclaimed biography by Sylvia Nasser, A Beautiful Mind is inspired by events in the lives of John Forbes Nash, a living legend in the mathematics community, and the woman whose love ensured his very survival.
This is the real thing. This is the kind of love that lives are built on, and in this particular case, I think a life was saved by it.
Nash's theories of governing dynamics have been hailed as one of the great economic breakthroughs of the 20th century, and ultimately led to his winning the Nobel Prize for Economics in 1994. His harrowing struggle with mental illness and the incredible toll it took on his career and marriage forms the heart and soul of A Beautiful Mind.
Maybe the part that knows the waking from the dream. Maybe it isn't here. Maybe it's here.
John Nash went to Princeton during the Cold War. Very, very brilliant and extremely competitive.
And I've got 2 weapons briefs under security review by the DOD.
Derivative drivel.
John Nash was competing with the great minds of the world at the time that the world was applying these great minds potentially to war.
Hey, look, you made the cover of Fortune again.
Nash had an extraordinary ability to see what others could not.
This problem here will take some of you many months to solve. For others among you, it'll take you the term of your natural lives.
It's a gift that brings enormous responsibility.
I think a lot of people wonder if they're good enough.
At least it is our relationship warrant long-term commitment. I need some kind of proof, some kind of verifiable empirical data.
What I think is interesting about their love story is that it is so human. How big is the universe?
Infinite.
How do you know?
I know because all the data indicate this infinite.
But it hasn't been proven yet.
No.
You haven't seen it.
No.
How do you know for sure?
I don't, I just believe it.
Hmm. It's the same with love, I guess.
It's a journey that develops into what I think is a really compelling adult love story.
But Nash's professional life takes a dramatic turn.
All right.
Nash becomes involved in government projects that really challenge him emotionally as well as intellectually.
Boy, you must be really important.
There's a sort of a push and a pull because here's a time where he could reach out for happiness and joy and the fulfillment that really hasn't been there on a kind of a human level, but he's also pulled by his own ambition, and he's beginning to be torn from within.
John!
And there begins journey into a kind of a hellish existence.
Stay away from me.
I'm not leaving. Stop! John!
You can't reason your way out of it.
Why not? Why can't I?
Because your mind is where the problem is in the first place.
Ultimately, there is diagnosis, a realization that he has schizophrenia.
Respond to singularities in space-time. Singularities in space-time, then.
Just when John Nash's renowned achievements were receiving high praise in important circles, and he was just beginning an exhilarating new life with his beautiful bride, his exceptionally gifted mind begins to splinter.
Professor Nash?
Hold it!
Professor Nash? Let's avoid a scene, shall we?
I don't claim to understand this. It's like, I think the difficulty is like analogous to if you wake up and you were dreaming some dream. And can you really explain why you dreamed that dream?
I talked to Alicia about it, and she said his demise and the onset of his illness was really in the course of like 2 weeks.
Many of his delusional ideas were coming to him really in the same way that some of his really brilliant breakthrough ideas in mathematics had come to him. So when the audience has the rug pulled out from under them, really in the same way that John Nash does, it made the film a lot more emotionally powerful and frankly, more involving.
I need you now, soldier.
I was so scared you weren't real. Schizophrenia is something that tends to come on people in their early 20s.
With schizophrenia, it's typical you don't want to do normal things.
This is a group playing touch football. This is a cluster of pigeons fighting over breadcrumbs. And this here is a woman who was chasing a man who stole her purse.
John's life, the architecture of John's life, seemed a remarkable way to give people some insight into what it might feel like to have this disease. Long before I could say the word schizophrenia, I had been exposed to people who suffered from a form of this disease. Both my parents are therapists, and my mother is a renowned child psychologist. And it instantly seemed to me an opportunity to speak to some way of simulating what the experience of this disease might be.
Good strong moment.
And
when I saw this screenplay, I felt that it captured what to me was the essence of the story, which is this human drama.
Alicia, you know you can't go in his office.
You know it's classified, Alicia. Stop.
It's such a poignant story.
imagine if you had suddenly learned that the people, the places, the moments most important to you were not gone, not dead, but worse, they'd never been.
The devastation of schizophrenia is difficult to comprehend even for those who suffer its effects firsthand. Replicating the experience for a movie audience is the bold and brilliant invention of a beautiful mind.
In the mind of a schizophrenic, they can exist in many different planes of reality and have multiple relationships in that plane of reality, which is in fact completely imaginary. Charles? The prodigal roommate revealed. Saw my name on the lecture slate.
Who are you talking to? Tell me who you see.
How do you say Charles Herman in Russian? How do you say Russian?
There's no one there, John. There's no one there.
It was right there.
How do you make thought visceral and real? If we could deal with the multiple realities and give it a thriller context, it would make the movie a visceral experience so an audience could relate to it.
Get in. Hurry.
The real challenges for all of us was to try to evoke the inner landscape of Nash's mind. a very powerful mind that has the power to turn on him and nearly destroy him from the inside out.
My name is John Nash. I'm being held against my will.
To give you a sense of what he was going through and experiencing, there's invention in each and every scene.
Visualizing Nash's complex and sophisticated world involved detailed research into every aspect of his life.
In terms of trying to get the math right, the math needed to be right in the same way that I wanted the science to be right in Apollo 13. Much, much more work went into presenting the aspect of mental illness and the way it was dealt with during Nash's onset.
Are you all right?
I really believed that there was an opportunity with this movie to deal with it in a way that would suddenly make the experience a little easier to talk about.
John?
Turn it off. Turn off the light.
Why would you do that? Why would you turn the light on?
What is wrong with you?
You have to go to your sister's.
I've seen the movie with the Nashes twice. The first time we saw the film, Nash had a kind of a bemused detachment about the whole thing. But when we came to the insulin shock therapy sequence, you could see his whole demeanor change. In fact, he looked away, he averted his eyes. And he said, you know, the interesting thing about that is I had never seen it before. I had no way of knowing. And to see Russell Crowe bring it to the screen with that kind of honesty and authenticity had to be difficult.
How often?
5 times a week for 10 weeks.
The most powerful sequence for me is where the movie becomes the most dangerous, where Nash has lost touch with reality and there's a threat, unintentional but horrifically dangerous.
Charles, you just watched the baby.
With that, it escalates into sort of a hallucinatory nightmare.
So I'm not completely through the experience of the movie on my life. I hope good things come of it.
The responses have been more rewarding than really anything that I've ever experienced as a filmmaker or an actor. Senator Wellstone from Minnesota spent several minutes with me on the phone. He's a mental health advocate and feels a really deep personal connection to the subject and praised the movie in a way that meant a lot to me. Constance Lieber, who runs NARSAD, a funding organization in the area of psychiatric research and treatment. She felt like it was a very compassionate, insightful presentation of the disorder. That pleases me because, quite frankly, that was a conscious objective.
John, you should go easy. There are other things besides work.
What are they?
Genius, mental illness, Nobel Prize. This is a very uncommon set of circumstances for a single life.
He gains wisdom, he gains strength in the journey, as difficult as it is. So it's a very triumphant, ennobling story. And we all felt it was a story worth telling.
It was very sensitive, and I'm really very pleased with it.
I think often what I feel is obligation or guilt over wanting to leave.
The decisions that the real Alicia Nash made were very courageous decisions because she was facing a level of personal threat and certainly unpredictability.
But then I look at him and I force myself to see the man that I married. And he becomes that man. He's transformed into someone that I love.
The opportunity to live long enough to heal, if healing is possible, is often because they've had someone in their lives who have stayed with them.
Even when he was in the worst parts of the disease, her door was open to him. It just really indicates what a woman of strength and character she is.
You have to get to Wheeler. You have to find William Parcher. He can help us. He can help us.
Stop! The journey in itself is precious. The transformation that they both undergo along the way.
Maybe Rosam's right. Maybe I have to think about going back into the hospital again.
Come here. Maybe try again tomorrow.
Nash would never have survived without Alicia Nash sheltering him.
She is a heroic figure in the movie. She was there offering love and support when most would have been broken themselves. And her strength is pretty remarkable.
To take her severely mentally ill husband in and shelter him with no expectation that he would get better.
Despite unimaginable challenges, Alicia's steadfast devotion pulled her husband from the brink of madness, and together they triumphed over tragedy.
I need to believe that something extraordinary is possible.
They've separated on occasion, stuff like that, and haven't been able to really understand each other on occasion as well, but the bottom line is, after however many years, they're still together. You're still here.
I'm still here.
The victory in the movie and the victory in John Nash's life is the love story.
Theirs was a triumphant, and continues to be, a triumphant love, and two triumphant lives.
My brother has struggled with this illness a good part of his life, and I've seen this movie. A Beautiful Mind is, I think, a beautiful movie. It enables people who don't struggle with the illness to, I think, have much more sensitivity and understanding of people who do struggle with the illness.
Ron Howard's very inspired direction and Brian Grazer's award-winning production have combined to create a film that just takes our breath away. On behalf of the National Mental Health Awareness Campaign, it is my great honor to bestow the 2002 Awareness Award to you, Ron Howard, and to Brian Grazer for your creativity and your innovation in promoting greater awareness of mental health issues, reducing stigma, and encouraging individuals to seek help. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you.